Happy New Year to everyone. Up to the Time presents what is a template? We are going to be creating templates. So in the instructions on my right to create this template, we're going to be going through some points. We're going to be customizing our text styles, our dimension styles. We're going to be adding some layers. We're going to be setting up our limits. We're going to set up our sheet layout, our title block. We're going to be setting up this as a template file so that you can start on this file when you just start your AutoCAD. So that is the default file here, but we can't be using that file every time we want to start a drawing, because it would be crazy. We wouldn't have our settings. So let us first understand what a template is and how we can use a template to our advantage. So let's just go. So the term template, when used in the context of software, refers to a sample document that has already some details in place. Those can either be by hand or through an automated iterative process, such as with a software assistant. Once the template is completed, the user can edit, save, and manage the result as an ordinary processing file. So that's what a template is. I am going to clear this now because this isn't necessary right now. All right, so this is my default file, just simple, nothing in it. We are on layer 0. There are no layers at all, nothing. This is just brand new. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to follow these instructions here. These instructions were built, well, these instructions were for AutoCAD 2018, but I'm assuming they can work for AutoCAD 2019, 2020, and for those of you that might have AutoCAD 2021. The key thing here is that you must be on a Windows computer. I wouldn't be able to help you if you are on a Mac computer, but however, still follow. You might be able to still understand what I'm doing and find a way to create your own template on the Mac too. Some of the menus on the Mac computer are slightly different to the Windows computer. So sorry for those guys that have a Mac computer, but I can only work with what I have here, which is Windows. So let's get started. First type limits, and let's get this thing. We will set limits as for a typical A3 sheet. Okay, so I type my limits and then I go -10, comma -10, and that's for the lower corner. And for the upper corner, I will just be typing in 400, comma 277, enter. Okay, so my limits are in. You're not going to see them there, but they're in once you follow those instructions correctly. Let's move on to join the rectangle, which would then be our sheet. So I'm going to draw my sheet. Our sheet is an A3 size sheet, and I'm working with the dimensions 400 by 277. So let's go. REC is the tool to bring up rectangle. First thing, I need to type in where my first point is, and that is at -10, comma -10. Enter, and then 400, comma 277, and that's my rectangle there. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to zoom extents, so the rectangle takes up the entire screen that I'm working with. So that's the rectangle there, as you can see it clearly now. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put a 10. I'm going to create a scale factor of 10. What is that? Well, right now as I'm zooming, you're zooming with a free scale factor here, but I want that when I flick my mouse to zoom out or zoom in, I'm zooming in at a factor of 10. So I'm going to set that up now. Zoom factor is the command I'm typing, and I think it's already been in a zoom factor 10, so I'm just re-entering it and confirming it. Yes, the zoom factor is 10. So when I wheel my mouse, I can then have a zoom factor of 10, which I don't zoom out too far when I just only want to go a short distance. That's why I have the zoom factor set there. So the next thing is I am going to put in a border around my sheet. So for that, I'm going to offset, auto offset, and then type 10, and I'm going to touch my rectangle and then touch it out. Hit my mouse out, so I offset a border outside of my rectangle that I originally created. So this is the original rectangle, and then this is the offset rectangle right here. Okay, so the next thing I'm going on to is item 2, adding the line types. Okay, LTYPS, that stands for line type or line types, plural. And the first thing is we are going to load these types here. So I'm just going to zoom in here so you can have a look at the various types that we have here. We have a center line, we have a continuous line, a -2, and some JIS 02 2.0. So I'm going to be looking for those. First thing, I'm going to go over to load because they aren't there. The only one that's there is the continuous line. So I'm going to look for the lines that I need, the types that I need. So I need a center. I found my center. Okay, load again. We have to do this individually. Yeah, I know it's annoying, but it's not too many things we have to add here. So just bear with it. -2. I found that. Go again, load, and I go for my hidden. Where is hidden? Hidden. No, for hidden, I need to go GIS. So where is it? Yeah, I found it. So let's recap. I got my hidden, I got my -2, I got my continuous, I got my center, and that's it. So hit OK. So I got all my line types there, and I'm just going to zoom out. And the next thing we are going to move on to is creating the text style. So I'm going to go, we can type the word style, 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 and then it brings that menu. Or if you want to, you can go up here and click on the word annotate, and then come over to the text box, which is underneath this big letter A, which says multi-line text, and go to this corner here. And once you do that, you will still bring up the menu text style. So those are just two ways to access in the same menu. Anyway, once we are in here, we are going to set this on annotate, and we are going to change this, flip this paper over, the sheet over, let's zoom in and see and match these settings here. So the first thing is, you see, standard paper size, sorry, standard paper text height is 5. So I'm going to change that to 5. And yeah, that's it for us. We don't have to change anything here. ISO -30, no, we don't need to worry about that. So just set this as current. Yeah, and then close. So that's that. And then we're going to move on now to the dimension style. So for this one, we can type dimension style, or we can come up here next to the annotate. The text is dimension, and we can hit this arrow here, and this brings the dimension style. So I'm going to use that method. In this box now, what are we looking for? Dimension style is a collection of settings that are of dimensions so that they conform to a specific, okay, nothing there to read. Interesting, the image is over this word here. But the long and short of this is how we set up our dimension template. So what we are going to go on to is, let's see, what do we need here? Okay, click ISO 25 and click modify. And the first thing is you're going to start from the left and move to the right. So for those that are wondering, we are in the lines tab. And what are we going to change here? We are going to change our offset origin to 2. Yes, that has been changed. Color, I would go by layer. Yeah, I'll get more onto that later on. Line width, line width. Okay, line width 0. We just open here and 0.15 millimeter. It's correct. And we move over to the symbols and arrow tab. What are we doing over here? Arrowheads 2.5. That's good. Everything looks okay there. Move over to text tab. Change the settings to reflect the following. Okay, so we change the text style to reflect annotative, because that's the style that we're using for the text, or for the standalone text, and the text that would be on the dimensions. So we're making sure that things are consistent there. Let's see, what else do we need to change in this particular tab? Oh, we need to change this over to ISO standard. Yeah, and then we move over now to primary units and change precision to 0. Decimal. Okay, move this from comma to period. I think that's it. It says select OK, and then hit set current. So that's it for the dimension style. We can move on now. And the next thing we're going to be doing is creating the layers. So I'm going to type the word layers, L-A-Y-E-R-S. And that takes me, wrong. I should just type the word layer. Layer, and that takes me into the layer manager. What we're going to be doing here, we're going to be adding a set of layers. So just let me zoom in here so that we can count the layers we're going to be adding. We're going to be adding 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, they have added 6 layers, but I would like to add 2 more layers. So I'll have a total of 8 layers when I'm finished. I would explain as I go through this process. So to do that, you just right click in this menu and then select new layer. So I'm at 6, 8, 7, 8. And then what we're going to do now is I'm going to rename them. So I'm going to rename them. And then this first one to rename, you right click and select rename, or you can just hit F2 as a shortcut key. And this first one is center lines. Now, this is where I differ from this, from these instructions here. My center line, I'm not going to use the color white. I do not use these colors here. I find these colors extremely hard to work with, to be quite honest. They're like, for example, viewports is in blue, construction lines are in blue, center lines in green, hidden lines in green. There are too many things being repeated, right? There are at least 2 layers that are sharing the same green. There are 2 layers sharing the same blue. There are 2 layers sharing the same white. I mean, we have many colors. Why do I have layers sharing the same color? That in anyways, that's just not how I do things. So let me show you guys how I do things, and I would explain as I go on. So this layer I usually put in red because I just want it to stand out as when I look at it. So I put that in red. I don't often use the center lines, so that can stay in red. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to turn this over. I'm going to come here. I'm going to change that from continuous, the line type. I'm now looking at the line types. I'm going to change that from continuous, and I'm going to put at the center so that the center line type matches the center line. And then I'm going to go over to line weight and change it to 0.15, like what they have over here, 0.15 millimeter. And that's that line type, and that's good. Now the second layer now that I'll be looking at is my construction layer. So I'm going to name this construction. And for this layer, I use the color yellow. We want a bright color there. Continuous. Yep. And what size do I use? I use a size of 0.09 millimeter for that. Let's see the third layer now. My third layer, let's see if I can make this a little neater. Okay. My third layer is my dimension layer. And I use green here, this green. And I leave that at continuous, and I change the line weight to 0.15. My fourth layer after dimension is hidden. This is perhaps the only layer that I repeat a color. So I will use red again for this because these lines are going to be broken lines. So both the hidden layer and the center lines, if you look at these lines carefully, they are both dashed lines. This is my center line, and for my hidden layer, I'm going to be using -2. Yeah, am I right? Yeah, for my hidden, I'm going to be using -2. Yeah. Anyway, and the size is 0.09. So let's move on. After hidden, you get our outline there. And what happens in outline? This, I'm going to use this color here, which is index color 11. Like that color there. It's not too bright. I'm going to keep that on continuous, and the default setting for this is going to be 0.35 millimeters. So if you look at this, this is going to be our thickest line weight. That would be my final outline layer, which I'm going to use when I want to, when I finish solve the problem and I just want to brighten, I want to outline it, you know, just to make it stand out from the rest. Okay. What's this next layer I'm using? Okay, I'm using layer 6 as my text layer. Text, every now and again you have to be writing stuff, so I use index color 6, which is known as magenta. Continuous, default, I'm going to put that the same as my dimension, so 0.15 millimeter. Layer 7, call that hatch, and I'm going to use this color here, which is index color 8. It is a gray. Leave that on continuous, and I am going to be using 0.09 for my hatch. I don't want that to be too heavy. And then this last one I'm going to have here as my viewport layer. Viewport layer, and I'm going to set that as a blue. And leave that on continuous, and default, leave that as default, nothing there, and that's it. Yeah, so everything looks good there. I'm going to put myself on my construction layer, so when I leave this the layer manager. Okay, good. So my layers are in, and I'm going to move on now to my object snap. So let me just zoom out here, and we move now to the object snap. So let me just bring this up. Object snap. And what does this really mean? Now, when we draw, let's use the example of a line. If I draw a line and I want to move this line, I have to be able to snap someplace. So there are 3 points here. There's an end point or a beginning point, or let's say there are 2 endpoints and 2 beginning points depending on where you start. If you start the line from the left, this is the beginning point, and here on the right would be the end point. If you start on the right, this would be beginning point and this would be the end point. So the end point and the beginning points can be interchangeable. This is the midpoint right here, and this is how I can move this line. So I can move this line by selecting the midpoint, or I can move it from my endpoint. All right, so I'm setting up my object snap to determine how I select my objects that I want to move. There are more points that I can use rather than there are more points that I can use besides the endpoint and the midpoint. So let's just explore these options now. Object snap, that's the word I'm going to be writing. It's right there. And what do I need to turn on? I need to turn on my endpoint, my midpoint. And guys, pay note to these symbols here. The endpoint is represented by a square, the midpoint, a triangle, the center, a circle, and the center is different from midpoint. Yeah, midpoint refers to a line, the center refers to a circle, and then node is different too. So what do I need to take off? I don't need quadrant, so I'm going to remove that. Perpendicular, I need extension. All right, let me just put that on. I don't think I've used that. I'm going to turn off. I'm going to keep on tangent, and that's it. And you can access that menu by typing the word object snap like I just did, or you can come down here to this square that has a green dot on the top left hand corner. And when you're there, you press the arrow directly to the right of it, and that brings up the same menu, the same object snap menu. If you don't like that menu, you can click there and you get that menu, all the same. Now let us move on. Okay, so we're going to create a title block with attributes now. Now they have here a title block of 75 by 30. I'm actually going to be using 75 by 25 for my title block. And how am I going to create this? Okay, good. So we got our rectangle in here, 75 by 25, and I'm going to divide this line, div, into 5 pieces. Touch the line, 5. We got my 5 divisions, and I'm going to bring this over here. So what am I doing? I'm creating my title block, and I'm going to divide it there in half. That's good. So that's my title block. I'm going to put that into a different set of layers. I don't want to use my construction layer there, so I'm going to put that into my outline layer. Yeah, that looks good. Now, so that's my title block. So let's move over now to creating some attributes. Why do we need attributes? We just need attributes so that we can insert our names and our date and the title of what we're doing. So the first thing to access the attribute menu is type ATT, enter, and right here in these tags, I'm going to type tag 1, okay, and I'm going to put tag 1 right here. Now tag 1 represents my name. I'm going to hit enter. Tag 2, okay, and tag 2 will represent my title. Enter. Tag 3 will represent the date. All right, yeah, good. We don't need that line. So those are my tags that are in. Now the next thing, once I've inserted these tags, I now need to create a block. So I'm going to hit BL. So you see what happened here. I'm just going to go over tag. All right. So let's go block again. I got to remember the order. Type 1 has to be the date. That's the order there. Title block. So tag 1 is the date. Tag 2 is the title. And tag 3 is the name. Okay. Let me see if I can change these around. So this one as name, I'm going to put as date. Apply. The title remains the same. And then I'm going to change the top date to name. Oh no, sorry. It's the bottom date I'm going to change to name. Apply. Okay, so now this is slightly important here. Can I change my size? Madam, I was looking to change the text size. I'll change that later on. But for right now, this is my template, and I'm going to put this. I'm going to go back into this by double clicking. No. All right, how do I access this block? Okay, I think I made a slight mistake. It's something that I can go ahead and okay. I'm able to change my tags here and put them into the layer that I want them to be in. I thought I would have to destroy the whole thing, but there's always an option if you explore long enough. So good now. Yeah. Okay, so okay, apply. All right, so that's it there. So that's my name, my title, and my date, and that's my title block finish. So my attributes are in, and now let's go to setting up my units now. So let's type the word units, UNITS. Precision is going to be 10. That's it. That's literally all we're changing here. And hit OK. We don't have to worry about the compass directions. That's not important at this moment. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set the layout. So I'm going to go over to layout and then go over here and page setup manager. And I'm going to go modify. So this is the layout here, layout 1. I'm going to go modify. I'm going to change the name of the printer / plotter to DWG to PDF because I don't have any printer here attached to my computer. I create PDFs, put them onto a flash drive, then go to the printery or go wherever and print them from there. So I do not need to assign this document to a printer. I just need to make it. I just need to put in the name DWG to PDF. That would suffice for everyone. Even if you have a printer at home, just do that. That's the best thing. Now, what am I going to be doing down here? I'm going to be changing this. Let's just look at the settings they have here so that you at home can see what I'm doing clearly. So I'm going to be changing this now to ISO A3. ISO A3, and I found this one 420 297. Got that. Layout, so everything is okay. Change quality to maximum, and yeah, okay. Let's go modify. Yeah, okay. Close, and then we take these. We pull them out here off the page. Well, not off the page, but just to there, to that point there. Let me put them right here. Why are we doing that? We're just making sure that we maximize our page layout, and yeah. So just double click in here now, and then zoom extents. Right. So everything fits in snug how we want it. Let me just zoom out. So that is the layout sheet. When we're finished there, what I'm going to do is I'm going to head over here to this scale, and I'm going to change my scale by pressing this arrow here, and I'm going to change it to 1:1. Once it is there, I'm going to lock it. Good. That's all locked. That looks good. And we now move over to the last thing. So I'm going to come out of this layout and go back to model. Model here. So I'm in model, zoom extents. Everything is zoom extents. And probably like two or three things to do. Save a template file. That's the next thing. I think that's going to be the last thing. Let's just look. Last thing I need to do is to create a template file. All right now. So I'm at this last item, or second last item. I'm going to save this file that I have just created as a template. Now, first thing, we need to save this as a template file, and then we need to go into the settings and remove the default file that when you click start, your computer normally starts on, which was the ISO AutoCAD disk file that it comes with when you start it. And we're going to insert our new file there. So let's go. First thing, save this as a template file. So we come here, save, and we go over to the save as. This is a bit tricky. You just need to hover over your save as options. Do not click. Just hover over your save as options, and it will bring it. Save a copy of the drawing, and we go to drawing template, and then we click there. Now, what am I going to call this? I am going to call this my geometry template. I've made one already. I've tested this out. So I'm going to update this because this is slightly better than what I have here. So mine is going to call AutoCAD, common letters, and then geometry in capital letters. And the file extension is .dwt. That means it's a drawing template. So once that is done, I hit save. Yes, want me to replace? Yes, I'm going to replace. Template options? Yes, okay to that. Cool. Now, the next thing I need to do now is I need to go into my preferences, PREF. That's the shortcut for preferences. Hit enter, and my preferences come up. I am only dealing with this tab, which says files. So that's all we need to focus on. We scroll down until we see template settings. I'm just going to hover over it. See it right here. Press the plus. And then we go to default template file name for Q new. And we click there, hit the plus, and then there's this arrow here. At this arrow, I double click, and this is where I'm going to take out the default file that the manufacturers give you when you start this program, and I'm going to insert my geometry template file. So come here, I click there. That's my geometry template file. Click open, click apply, click OK. Cool. So how do we know that my template file is there? Well, I'm going to hit the plus here for new drawing, and voila, I got my template file. That's how we know that it's there, and we are working with the template file. So I am going to minimize this and maximize there. Zoom extent, and let's look here and see all my layers are there. And to prove that this is the template file, I'm going to say no, I don't want to save, and I'm going to say no. So I'm right here at my start drawing, and I can either go start drawing or I can hit the plus up here. So I'm going to hit start drawing, and voila, I go straight into my template file. RE, is to refresh my screen or regenerate my screen. And if I want another join, a new join, I can hit the plus here, and it's the same template file. So that's how we set up a template. I hope this demonstration was informative. You guys were able to understand everything. Again, if I was moving too fast, you can pause the video or you can rewind. Anyway, this brings us to the end of this demonstration. I hope you guys learned how to set up this template properly. You might need to pause the video and just try these things in the background and then resume to get this process right. But to prove to yourself that it's right, you just hit the plus button here to say new join, and you should always start on a new template. So that was it for this lesson. That is what is a template and setting up the template. That's it. I hope you guys understood everything. Thanks again for joining. If you like this video, hit the like, share it with others, and subscribe to the channel. And take care.